You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Oh my gosh, I literally just returned home from a weekend getaway with my husband to celebrate 22 years of marriage. I cannot believe that I've been married that long. And we had such a good time. So we went to this place called Tyson's Corner, which is right outside of DC in Virginia. I just picked it on a whim because they had a really nice hotel. I love staying at the Ritz-Carlton. And so they had a really nice deal going on and a whole lot of shopping and restaurants nearby. So I was like, hey, the Marriott app is suggesting this place. Let's do it. And so we went and we just got back. My flight home was canceled, right? So we had a connection, and the flight to my actual city was canceled. And thank God we were only like an hour and a half away. So we rented a car and we're home. So I'm saying all that to say, I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you all about the entire time I was away. And I had an episode ready to go, but it is late. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I say? And it just popped in my head that last week's episode was such a good one because I've gotten so many messages from you all saying that hit home, that it was such a good episode because you're dealing with that. And that episode was all about what to do when you're the successful one in your family and how to start setting some real financial boundaries. And like I said, I got so many messages from you all saying, oh my God, this hit home. And as I stated in that episode, I did an interview with one of my clients, Shiela, and we talked about a lot of this. And I thought it would just be a really great idea to let you hear that interview again. I know some of you are new to the podcast. You may not have heard that episode yet. And I want you to hear it because it really shows the importance of coaching, how things like this, like being the successful one and not having financial boundaries and feeling guilty and obligated to always say yes when someone asks for something, or feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm the one making the money, I should pay for everything. When we don't even know that those thoughts are there, it prevents us from getting ahead financially and it prevents us from building wealth. So I thought for this week's episode, it would be great to bring that conversation back. So like I said, if you missed it the first time, you're going to love it. And even if you heard it before, I think it'll hit differently this time now that we've had last week's talk. So with that, let's dive into the interview. Well, hello, everyone. Today, I am so excited because I have a guest with me today. Her name is Shiela Little. She is one of my clients and she is amazing. I cannot wait for you all to hear her story. And the reason why I invited Shiela on is because sometimes I think hearing other women do amazing things with their money, make significant progress with their money, allows you, my listeners, to see that if they can do it, you can too. So I want you to hear her story and know that she is not a special snowflake. She is not a special unicorn. And if Shiela can do the things and make the progress that she's making, then you can too. All right. Without further ado, Shiela, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on here.
You are so welcome. So can you start by just sharing a little bit about yourself and what initially brought you to money coaching?
So I've been a therapist for 20 years, but right now I call myself a synergy coach. I just help individuals. Well, I help people really align, advance, and accelerate their life, right? I help them stop it now. I have a stop and now framework that help individuals stop doing the things that's preventing them to get the life they desire and deserve. I do a lot of work with limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, procrastination, and I teach a lot of emotional intelligence in the work that I do. And of course, being a therapist for 20 years, all of my coaching is done with some therapeutic aspects, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
CBT, a little CBT, a lot of healing. Yeah. So I integrate that all. So I call it synergy coaching.
Awesome. So, what brought you to money coaching?
I think what brought me to money coaching is one, I'm just not a hypocrite, right? I just believe that you can't go out and help people expand their lives and heal their lives and not do that for yourself. So I've been on a healing journey now for maybe like 7 or 8 years, getting a therapist and things like that. And I had took a course on understanding your money story and things like that. And when I saw, that you offered financial coaching, I really needed a space to talk about money freely. When you start to expand and your money starts to change, they say money changes the people around you, change you. It really doesn't. I think it changes the conversations. And I just really wanted a space to have honest conversations about money, really hear myself talk about the money, feel that in my body. What does that feel like? And then get an effective person that understood money and how to move money and how to grow money to help me give myself permission to think about myself first when it comes to money. Right. I was really big on make a lot of money, spend a lot of money. And it wasn't really spending, investing. I would always invest it back into my business. Yeah. So I found myself in situations and being a coach. Let me say this. I'm going to press pause. Being a coach, you have uptowns, you have downtowns. You have uptowns, you have downtowns. The uptowns are great. The downtimes definitely tapped into a lot of the information that I teach other people. But I really wanted to just start having a different relationship with my money, and seeing my money and being with my money and really stop exchanging my time for money and more just, the value that I'm bringing people. Yeah.
Oh, right. That is so good. So you touched on quite a few things there. Can you expand a little bit on, you said that you would make a lot of money and then spend slash invest all of that money. I think that was one of the big things that we worked on. That was one of the first things. And you all, one of our sessions together, she referred to her money as like the side chick, and I just
Side chick.
almost fell
It
out
was.
my chair.
Yes. That's what I did. I treated my money like it was a side chick. Like, okay, so growing up, I grew up in poverty. We didn't really have a very much scarcity mentality, right? Where, the money came one day, the food stamps came one day, but by the end of the month, like we didn't have anything, you know what I mean? And as you know, and hopefully to help educate the viewers, those beliefs when you're younger, they start to mimic, as an adult, you mimic that behavior. So as an adult, even though I had became well educated, I mean, I'm a PhD candidate, I'm master of social work, had good jobs, and still have a flourishing career, that same pattern of money coming in, money go out, money come in, money go out. And then there was this like false humility, right? Like, in a sense, I'm not working for money, right? So when I have money, which I've always had money, and I want to give that caveat. I started doing hair when I was 12 years old. I made a lot of money, right? I was able to take care of my family. I was able to, give my mama a car, pay my mama bills, do like buy the school clothes for my brothers. Like it wasn't that. I never really worried about where the money was going to come from. It was the sense of how long is it going to stay with me, right? And when you make a lot of money, it's certain. I think there were certain things that got coined, like, oh, she thinks she's just stuck because she got money, or she is stuck up because she got money, right? And all in some way, the residue of that made me feel like, well, I need to give this money away, right? I need
Mm-hmm.
to do something with this money because I don't want people to think that I think I'm the stuff with the money. And so I started treating money like it was a side chick, like, oh, I want you, I need you, I want the things that you can get me, but I don't want people to know that I want you and I need you. And,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
so it was a very much well, you come in and you go. You come in and
Yep.
you go. You don't come and stay. So I really wanted to marry my money, right? Like just
Yes.
in that philosophy, right? Be committed to this process of not just knowing how to attain it, but also knowing how to attain it, keep it, grow it, right? Um, without shame and guilt,
Yes.
right?
And I remember one of the conversations we had, actually, this may have been our very first conversation. It could have even been the consultation where I told you one of the things I wanted to help you to do was to learn the skill of actually having money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just,
I think you said it too. Like, it's okay for Sheila to have money.
yes, it's okay. Like, and visually, or I should say visibly saw you just like open up, like almost like release that, like, yeah, it is okay for me. And sometimes if you have, situations where you're familiar with not having it, your brain thinks it's literally almost dangerous to have money because our brains like to live a familiar life over and over again. And it's all about survival. And anything that's unfamiliar, our primitive brain, not the logical part of our brain, but that primitive childlike part of our brain thinks if it's unfamiliar, it's unsafe. So let's not do that. And so it's really cool to see how you've been able to start to reprogram your brain and let that part of your brain know that it is safe for Sheila to have money.
For Sheila to have money. And I had got so sophisticated with it because, like I said, it went from spending money to investing money, right?
Investing,
So,
the
yeah,
vernacular change.
the vernacular change of it. Like, so now it's like, oh, I got to hire a coach, or I'm going to bring on a new employee, or, I got to do something with this contract, right? To keep me in a sense, like they're chasing the next contract. And so, yeah, so it was like, oh, I'm gonna buy the building. I'm gonna get the building remodeled. Like I got the building remodeled like 3 times, right? So it's this it got sophisticated, and it really gave me permission, like, oh, well, I'm the greatest investment, right? Sheila is the greatest investment, or my business is the best investment. So why not invest my money back into the business, or invest my money back into me in some way, shape, or form? At the end of the day, though, it still left me without the resource, without the actual tangible money. Like I have hella assets, you know what I mean? But the physical dollar, I mean, I would keep enough money to take care of me, of course, but just that overflow
The
of
overflow. Yeah.
resources.
Having more than enough, having money. And this
Yeah.
is common with entrepreneurs, especially. I mean, I don't work with a lot of men, so I'm going to say female entrepreneurs. If we are in the pattern of making money and spending money, sometimes when we are, in our careers, we spend it on things outside of us, like clothes, shopping, trips, all that stuff. But when we're a business owner, we, like you said, we get sophisticated and we're like, oh, I'm investing in myself. And a lot of times we're investing in things that our business really doesn't need. And it's still perpetuating that cycle of not having money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very interesting. And I actually did an interview. I'm going to link the interview below with another lady. She's a real estate agent and she has the same issue where she was spending money in her business and that's how she justified it. And so, yeah, I love the fact that this is all coming out because so many people who are listening, they do have their own businesses and they can probably see like, oh, yeah, I'm always buying the next course. I'm always doing this with my money. And then I find myself not having much. So
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, that money story, and I think I told you this coming, I know that my money story, like I said, growing up in poverty, money is the root of all evil, or, whatever, the camel and the needle,
yes,
so,
yes.
growing up with these beliefs around an essential resource. Like we don't say that about water, you can never have too much water, we don't say that about food, we don't say that about things. But when it comes to this resource, which money is, it's these beliefs. And I really wanted to have a conversation out loud. And I think it's so important to, get all your senses involved, right, in that transformation and that growth. And, we can want something, but until you let your mouth experience that and your ears experience it, a lot of times you don't really know what you really believe, in a
Yeah.
sense, if that makes sense, or where the gaps are. And then having a plan. And I think that that's one of the things that you and I definitely worked on. Well, what's the goal? And and having a place to say, I'm going to save this, I'm going to move this, I'm going to do this. Okay, I can do that.
Yes. And I guess we haven't even said the reason why I was like, oh my God, I have to have Sheila on is because we were having a session and she casually was like, yeah, well, I saved I got my 12,000 already saved. And we were talking about something else. And so I didn't want to lose that. And then I woke up the next morning. I was like, did she say that she already has her? So I sent her a message. She was like, yes. And I just wanted to celebrate you and I want to know, were you able to celebrate yourself for that? Getting that $12,000 milestone that you wanted. You did it pretty quickly.
I did do it quickly. And I celebrated and I was like, yeah, you got it in there. Yeah. So I definitely celebrated it. I think I celebrated it in the casual state though that I said it with you. Like, so it wasn't this like big celebration, but I do believe in the milestone celebration, and that was a milestone for me. And I'm like, okay, when it got in there, I was like, yeah, we did that.
You did
What's the
that.
next? Yeah,
Yes.
we did
It
that.
is so possible, you all. So listen to me. If Sheila can do it, you all can too. And it doesn't have to happen fast. Hers just happened to, but it doesn't have to be fast. As long as you don't quit and you're taking those steps and you're following through and you've got someone in your corner to help you to keep taking those steps, you can get there 100%.
We are. I'm a therapist. I work with people. I help people, right? That face similar challenges as me. I don't go into like the money thing, like
Mhm.
that's your thing, but like the limited beliefs around it. And I do want to say, if Sheila can do it, then I can do it. It really is. If Sheila can do it, I can do it, because being highly intelligent, I do feel like I can give myself a story. I can reframe a situation to give myself permission to use my money how I want to use my money, because I believe in autonomy, right? And I am an Aquarius, so I can be very much resistant to goals and to like a person telling me what to do. Like, oh, I can show you I can get there, in a different way. It's kind of like
Mhm.
creating my own storms just to say I solved them. And so I think that was happening in that money story. So it was very much some resistance around, well, do you really got to do it like that? Like, I know that that's the plan, but you could still pay out this and pay out that. And it was just, so many conversations happening in my head about how I can do that different. And it's like, no, this is what you hired her for. Trust the process and just move the money. You know what I mean? And moved it.
Yes, and you still have the autonomy because one of my jobs as your coach is just to offer options. And if there is some of those limiting thoughts, or just not even limiting thoughts, but resisting thoughts, like to coach through them, to question them, to see why they're there. Because sometimes they sound really fancy and sophisticated on the surface, but really what they're designed to do is just to keep you in your comfort zone and keep you in the familiar. And that is the reason why I think coaching is so powerful. I have my own coach because of that. Like I just got off the phone with her a couple hours ago because as you say, you need to be able to verbalize things. You need someone else to hear what you're saying and them to show you what you're saying so that you can see, oh, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a powerful thing. And I want to talk about the fact that when you create your plan, that is you telling
Creating.
you what to do. It's not like there's this other person making you do it. And sometimes I think we have that like tug of war within ourselves. Like
Mhm.
the primitive part of our brain, the toddler part is like, no, I don't want to do it. And it's like the parent part of us is saying, yes, this is what we're going to do. And I promise you that the toddler is always the loudest, is always the scrappiest, but
Mhm.
the adult part of you has all the power. Because you can
Yes.
pick that toddler. Think about if you're in the grocery store and the toddler's throwing a tantrum. You can just pick them up and leave
Right.
because
Right.
you're
Right.
the adult. And that kind of is that I like to use that analogy for that internal battle that we
Yeah.
have with ourselves.
And it's an internal battle. And I think that's a part of the process too. Like, I
Hmm.
think that we think when you get a coach or when you shift, like it's supposed to, in some way, calm that down. And a lot of times it actually aggravates it a little more, right? Like,
Hmm.
now you are having a stronger conversation. And I think that's where emotional management, or really having the plan and executing so that you can let your brain know that it's safe. Like, I'm going to show you it's safe because I'm going to do it. and we're gonna be okay, you know.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so I think that one of the misconceptions is, you know, talking about it or having a conversation out loud is going to, I don't know, quiet that, but it actually can create a little more noise for you to hear, and it's kind of like unearthing some deeper beliefs around money, and that's where we manage the emotions that come with that by learning.
Absolutely. And it kind of reveals why we have been the way we have been for so long, right? Because sometimes we try to do all the things like, oh, I'm going to put myself on a budget. I'm going to try this cash envelope system. I'm going to read this book. But, you know, we might make some progress and then we're right back. Why? Because there's some other things going on
Mhm,
that you got to get to that root cause of what's
mhm,
happening so that you can get those lasting results.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this, but what were some of the feelings you had when you first started working on your money? Did you have fear, doubt? Was there anything like that happening for you?
No, I think I had come to a point where I was ready to to work
Mm-hmm.
on it. What I had emotions around or some dis-ease around though was the practical skills. Like I remember you gave me this exercise of, you know, when you go out to the restaurant, don't offer to pay the bill, right? Like
Oh my
next
gosh. Can you tell
6
them why I gave you that? I don't give this to everybody, you all, but can you tell them why I gave you that?
because I just had this thing where like if we are all out, you know, it's like I got the bill, you know, and it was just a natural thing for me to do. Like I got the bill if I'm with my friends, you
And
know,
why? Why was that the natural thing? Because there's nothing wrong with having the
happening.
bill, not at all. But why were you always?
Because it was like I feel like I have it. I would assess everybody else's pockets sometimes and feel like, well, they got to do this and they got that and they have this and I have it, so let me go on and, you know, pay for it. You know what I
It's
mean?
almost like you were telling yourself you should do it.
I should do it. Yes, you should do
Hmm.
this. You have it, and I want to talk about it too because I think that it also tied into this servitude, like, you know, be of service, and this is the way that I can serve or tithe or you know, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
um and so there was this, just this deeper feeling of this is what you should be doing, you know. If the bill comes, just pay for it, you know. And so I pay for the bills.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong. I want to make sure people hear me when I say there's nothing wrong with covering the bill. I do it sometimes as well. But what is the energy? That is what you want to pay attention
Exactly.
to. Is it from, I should be doing this, and if I don't, I'm going to feel guilty and ashamed? Is it from that? Or is it from, no, I just, I want to pay the bill today because I'm in a generous mood and I want to treat my friends? And that
Yeah.
energy is just different. And because Sheila is working on the skill of having money, keeping
Mhm.
money, and it's okay for her to, that was just an exercise that I gave her so she could practice it. And I know it probably was uncomfortable, but everything we want in life is always, a couple steps outside of our comfort zone. So, okay, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for
and I
interrupting.
want to say that again. I want to talk about the residue of that. It's not that the people that's in my life now are any of the things that I was projecting on them. They're well capable of paying for their own bill, and there are times where we're just generous, and you know, as a peer group or as family or whatever. You know, my brother pick up the bill. I do want to say that it was the energy of the little girl Sheila saying, I need to, growing up in a family where I had to take care of people. It was
Hmm.
from that energy of taking care of, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it was in that energy that a lot of that behavior was still manifesting, you know,
Hmm.
as the adult. And I think that here was the power in it, saying no and hearing what came up for me when I said no, or feeling that came up when the waiter come out. And because everything
Hmm.
is emotion, right? So when the waiter come
Yes.
out and say, how are we going to split the bills? And it's like 4 ways, 3 ways. Oh, we got separate bills, right? There's a feeling that I have to now digest. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I think that was the feeling I was trying to avoid. And in doing that 6 times, by like the fifth or sixth time, it was like, oh yeah, we got separate. And not even from a she got it, but from this, oh Sheila, you've really digested that feeling, like you don't have that anymore. So at that point, at the seventh bill, I could say yay or nay, and that
Mm-hmm.
feeling now that's associated to it is not there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's like, are we willing to be uncomfortable, right? Even though it's so interesting because it's uncomfortable to say it's going to be split 4 ways, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's also uncomfortable to always be picking up the bill when you kind of don't want to, and when you also have other financial goals that you would like to be reaching. And so it's interesting. It's like we just have to choose our discomfort. And is it some discomfort allows us to grow from it, and other discomfort just keeps us stuck. And so I love that you actually did it. Yay.
I do want to go back to the not wanting to. I absolutely wanted to
Mm-hmm.
pick up the bill. I just
Mm-hmm.
think that I wanted to pick up the bill for a reason
Yeah.
that didn't serve the 45-year-old me. It was serving
Yes.
the old me. It wasn't serving. So absolutely, when the waiter came, there was like this level of like maybe like euphoria or something, like the bill is coming, I'm gonna pay for it, we good, right? But again, it was serving an outdated me, right? That did you really have to do that? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it wasn't like when the bill come, like I'm like, oh, let me just take it with this kind of begrudging or miser spirit. It wasn't that. It was just like I was saying yes unconsciously to
Mm-hmm.
to that request. And I just wanted to become more conscious with my yes when it came to money.
Love it. Okay, so let's go back to this $12,000. That is incredible.
Hmm.
Can you share just maybe one strategy you use to help you to do that? Because, yes, we talked about doing it. I gave you a process to do it. But at the end of the day, it was up to you to execute that process.
Hmm.
So, what is something that you're like, okay, how did you do it? How did you get yourself to do it?
So I typically take a I think I told you this. I typically take a payment out. So for the month of June, I didn't take any payments from the business. I just let the money be there. We developed a plan of how much my bills were, and just came up with that number. And so because I allow myself the space in June to just live off of the monies that I had, like my reserves. I just didn't take those resources out. I think that accelerated the process from May
Mm-hmm.
to June, from May to July. And yeah, and I think just consciously I paid attention more to I literally got all new cards. I canceled all of my cards because I wanted to know what was actually coming out. I downloaded the app to see like the history of payments because you could be on paying for 2 Netflix bills or you know what
Right.
I mean on
Right.
different. So I canceled all my cards, got new cards, and set up what I wanted to be paying and really allocating what what's going to come out of those accounts. And the emotional side of it, just saying your goal is to get to this, 12,000 in this particular area. Um, so we don't got to buy that.
Yeah, like there you go. It's practicing constraint. Because we all can. I always say making the plan is the easiest part. Sometimes we think that's the hardest part, but really that's the easiest part. But following through with it, and so I think you just hit the nail on the head because we're always going to have these temptations and urges to just not follow it and to do something else, to make an investment in the business or to buy this thing or go on this trip. And one of my mottos is you can do all of that. But if you've made a decision for this month, you're going to spend your money this way, how can you honor that commitment that you made to yourself and actually follow through? And that's how you build trust with yourself. A lot of women tell me, I don't trust myself with money. Well, that the way you build up that trust is by kind of keeping your promises to yourself and following through, even when you don't want to. And
Absolutely.
also not beating yourself up when you are human and make a mistake, because we all are going to do that too.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the Amazon Prime Day um,
Yes, please do.
thing that happened because I think that this was good for me, right? So Amazon
Hmm.
Prime Day came, it was 2 days, and I'm like, oh, the stuff is on sale. So I go on Amazon and I'm like, oh, you can get this because I'm rehabbing a house too. And so I'm wanna like, oh, I can buy that, I can buy that. And my cart was like in the thousands. Like
Yes, I remember this
and I
story.
let it sit there and then I went back and I'm like, okay, do you really need that? Like that's something you can buy in the future. Do you really need that? Do you really need this? Do you really need this? And that was one of the things that got me to my financial goal on both ends. So you're talking about the financial goal in business, and then we also had the financial goal in my personal account, and I hit that
Hmm.
financial goal in my personal account. And and so
Awesome.
and so now just like I'm going and those are the processes like I see a shirt and it's like that's a really nice shirt and it's like yeah but do you need that shirt um or do you really do you got to have it now, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that was my questions, and the cart ended up going down from like I don't know, it was 1,000 something, and I think I only ended up spending like maybe a couple hundred, 400 something dollars from things that I actually wanted today, right now, like a
Hmm.
juicer for my father, a juicer for me, the lotion that I use. It was very much just the things that were pertinent to my needs today. And again, I think that that's one of those sophisticated approaches that I would take, like, oh, this is on sale, or
Hmm.
I can get this and I will use it, in 6 months. But then in 6 months, I don't know, something didn't change. And now the thing that I bought to use in 6 months, I don't need it anymore. You know what I mean? So either
Yeah,
I'm
or we
taking it to
forget about it.
Goodwill or forget about it. Right.
Yes.
So that was powerful for me to
That
do
is
that.
awesome. And it just shows you like the practicality of it. Like we all know about Prime Day, and Prime Day is a marketing genius day. I mean, whoever came up with that should get a lot of bonuses and raises because it is. I mean, they talk about it Prime Day, and but for you, even with all the marketing, with all of the sales, you are still in control of if you're going to buy anything at all and how much you're going to buy. I think
Yes.
sometimes we think that all these things outside of us are kind of controlling us and our spending is out of control when really we've been in control the whole time. We just have relinquished it. And so to then take it back is that's exactly what you did. You took it back, you reflected, you didn't let the primitive brain just, I mean, all that in your cart, that was the primitive brain. That was that toddler was like, yes,
Oh, it was like, oh, get
this.
this, get that. It was like a little stirrer on there. Like, you can get that stirrer, so it's $10. Right.
Right. And then the adult came back, which was really amazing because sometimes it's hard to, do that in the moment.
Mhm.
The adult came and was like, okay, I see everything you have here. Do you need this? What about that? Maybe not. You know what I mean? So, and this is available to all of us. And I just love how you're talking about it. And then it allowed you, and this is news to me. I didn't realize you met your personal goal and your business goal. It allowed you to be able to meet that personal goal as well. So,
Yeah, and I want to talk about that too, because I think that was the other growth process is that I think one of my sophisticated things is, well, I got it,
hmm.
so I can do it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And again, I think that that's one of the things I have used, right, in those times because I'm up. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
got it.
Hmm.
you know but again, I think it's just coming from the survival brain, the fear of not when I don't have it, so let me buy it now, so if I don't
Hmm.
have it in the future, like I know I got it. And to me, that's not even the path I want to be on. I will have it in the future to purchase it in the future because I'm thinking
Yes.
about the future me today, right? And so I think that that was huge for me because I think that I have bought from scarcity, from that scarcity space of, well, you got it, so go on and buy it now. You know what I mean? And it was like, so really at a deep, deep level, I don't believe I'm gonna have it in the future, right?
Hmm.
And then I end up experiencing not having it in the future. And then guess what I would tell myself, that future Sheila, I'm so glad you got this then because look, we don't even got it now, right? And in
Mm.
some way making that buy or that purchase or that investment um like a good thing. But it's also setting my future person up to not have it too, right? That's truly the belief, like, oh, she's not gonna have it. So let me get it now while we got the money, you know? And I definitely had to say, no, she's gonna have it in the future. And in the future, when you need it, when the house is together, you know, you can purchase it.
And it's funny because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you use all the money now and create a situation where she doesn't have it in the future. And then
Exactly.
to tell yourself now to switch it around and say, no, she's going to have it in the future because you're going to do the things today. You're going to set her up today. You're going to make the decisions today and the choices today so that the money is there in the future. So it's not like this chance thing. It's like, no, we co-create our realities. I believe that God is definitely at work and we are co-creators with him. So we can create the future with God's help by
Absolutely.
our choices today.
My choices today.
So
Yeah.
that is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and
That's
that
so good.
brings me to that 55-year-old Sheila that I think we had the conversation about. I don't know if you want me to share that story too, but like,
If you want to, go for it. Yes.
so another thing is that um my family has depended on me a lot and I provide, you know, like if they like, hey, cash at me this, cash at me that, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And I told you this breakthrough I had with the person in my life that was very close to me that, you know, asked me for some resources. And I was just like, yeah, I don't have them. And then later on, I had a conversation with that individual. And I'm like, yeah, so because I have a plan for my life, I'm not just thinking about the 45-year-old me. I'm thinking about the 55-year-old me and the 65-year-old me. And I'm an entrepreneur. So what I'm making today, like I have to make sure that she's taken care of, you know, that the experience I want to have as a grandmother, like I am tapping into that. So when I say I don't have it, it's truly because I need to make sure that all my money is where it needs to be so that that 65-year-old me is okay, the 55-year-old me is okay financially, right? And not burden them with that
Mm-hmm.
responsibility, you know, at that time. And that was a switch for me because I was very much an in the moment person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, well, and not that I was a savage about my 55-year-old and what she was experiencing. I just think it was a distant thought from me. Does that make sense? It wasn't as
Yes.
conscious
It was like
as
you'll think about it later. It was
yeah, I
like
think
it
about it
was.
later, or you know,
Yeah.
when I get that million, she gonna be okay, right? But
Yes.
how you gonna get that million for her to be okay? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what
Right.
are you doing today to get to the million? You know,
Mm-hmm.
for her to
Mm-hmm.
be okay, and 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 really thinking about. So that means that, and we talked about the thing that motivated me when I was younger was taking care of my kids and taking care of my family, and you know what I mean. So I definitely had a hustle about me where I was working 16 hours a day, right? Because I knew this need was there. Once I outran those primitive needs of take care of my mom, take care of my dad, take care of my kids, you know, once I outran those, it was like, okay, what's motivating me now? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what's getting me up to do the extra thing to create the extra stream of income when I'm comfortable financially, you know? And having that conversation with that individual, I think was the last piece of the conversation. Oh, that's your motivation, Sheila. Your 55-year-old want me.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
65-year-old want me. You as a grandmother, right? Like you could still, and I don't want to say hustle, but you can definitely still be very intentional about how you use your resources now and where you put your time at and what assets you're creating that's going to generate income so that they're taken care of too. And you have it today to be able to do that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we talked about like, okay, what kind of grandmother do you want to be? What do you want to allow, like what do you want to do for your grandkids? I told you a story where I was on a Disney cruise a while ago now, and
Mhm.
a grandmother was there with all her kids, their wives and husbands. And she's like, oh yeah, I brought all of them on this cruise. This is my gift to them. And I was just like, okay, that's the kind of grandmother I'm going to be. But that's not going to happen with me not being intentional about it. I have to keep that vision in front of me and plan for that. And you kind of had the same epiphany.
Yeah, it definitely was an epiphany. I mean, as I talk about it now, my head kind of gets lightheaded and I get little chills on my body because as intelligent as I am, it was
Hmm.
still the now. You know what I mean? As long as we're good now, it may be in 6 months or maybe in a year, you know what I mean? Like, but the 65-year-old me, I had to apologize to myself because I really wasn't thinking about her. You know what I mean? Or even
Hmm.
a 55-year-old me, you know what I mean? And do we want to be out there hustling like that at 55? Or do we want to be um, really lavishing in the choices that I made today?
Yes.
And I think
And knowing that that is so normal. Most people aren't thinking that far out. That's why, you hear the statistics all the time that, most people aren't prepared for retirement, you know, and it's because we just haven't learned how to put the right part of our brain in charge of our money, right? Because the primitive part of your brain, its job is to only worry about the here and now. And it loves pleasure. It loves to avoid pain. So going and doing painful things, or I wouldn't say painful physical pain, but like emotional pain, uncomfortable things. He doesn't want to do any of that. But all of that is setting you up to be able to live the future that you dreamed of. So
yeah,
I just think all of this is so good. And I know the people listening, I hope you hear all of this and you apply it to yourselves and just understand again, I'm going to say it again. If I could do it, you all know my money story. It was a hot mess. If Sheila can do it, it's just like there's no excuses for why you all can't do this for yourselves. And so with that, what advice would you give someone who is hesitant? They're listening to the podcast, they are interested in maybe working with me, they're interested in, starting the process, but they've never done anything like this before. They may have never invested in themselves, they may have never, had a coach, maybe never even talked about money with anyone else. What advice would you give them?
yeah. So I think the advice that I would give them is I'm talking about my money. We're talking about, $12,000 and, kind of bigger numbers. I don't know what the demographic of your audience is. I do want to say this before I give my advice. I was still able to live my life, right? So you always talk
Hmm.
about this, you don't have to go on a budget or, in me moving the money and saving those and doing the things that was in the plan, it did not affect like my day-to-day lifestyle. I still was able to go out to eat and do the things that I wanted to do. One of the things that I say is I talked about the 55-year-old me. My advice would be like, don't think about it in such a grand scheme, like these big numbers, right? It's these small steps that you're
Hmm.
taking. If it's $5, if it's $10, but here's the thing, when you tell yourself where that money is going to go and you commit to that, then you just start to experience a different relationship with money. And then you start to have a different appreciation for that savings that, I don't know, like those behaviors, you really do. And I think it first starts with having a conversation about it with somebody that one understands the journey that you're on, two can provide you with the right resources, and I mean, it's beyond money. Like you do work on the
Hmm.
belief systems and,
Yes.
the emotions. I mean, you're very honest and upfront about, I feel like you're very thorough as a coach, so you're coaching them at the same time that you're providing the skills and the formats for the money. So Yeah, I would just say scare yourself, do the things that's scary to you, really. I mean, because that's really the biggest thing, right? All of
Yes.
these beliefs start to come up for you, or you keep pushing it back, or you keep pushing it back. And the energy and the emotion that you're looking for is actually on the other side of that decision, right? The
Mm-hmm.
person that you want to be. So make the decision, do the consultation, and then feel what comes up. Similar to when I felt that waiter say no, like feel that, and know that it's okay to feel that. You still gonna live tomorrow, right? You just gonna live tomorrow with extra $5 somewhere, or
Mm-hmm.
extra $100 put away somewhere, or
Yeah.
extra 12,000, right? Put away somewhere. So you definitely want to. That would be my recommendation, because everything is emotional, and I think that that's the only reason you haven't done it is because your emotions have created a story, a sophisticated story, or maybe a simple story. I can't afford it. I don't have the time. I'm not ready. I'm going through this. I'm in the middle of two projects. I'm rehabbing a house and I'm getting my building fixed, but I still made time to understand that money is important, and I really need to build a different relationship with it to sustain the lifestyle I want and create the one that I desire to have in the future. And if I don't make that decision now, when is the best decision, the time to make it? Why not make it when I'm in the midst of all of this? So I'm not going out splurging on, I don't know, some handles. You know what I mean? I'm really
Yes.
making a conscious decision about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And know that your money story is like the longest story in your life. Now, when your mama got pregnant, she was thinking about money all coming up, how she gonna feed you. Your money story is your longest story. And I think it's time for you to discover what that money story is. And really hire a financial coach to really see what some of those beliefs that's really stopping you from experiencing the relationship with money that you want to have, whatever that
Yes.
relationship is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It totally does. And, I think one of the biggest fears, Fidelity Investments, they did a money mindset story and they surveyed mostly women between the ages of 18 and 44. And they think that in order for them to build wealth, to save, to do any of those kinds of things, that they have to give up the things that bring them joy. And I just want to touch on a couple things that you brought up. So one of the things you talked about was you had a relative that asked for money and you said no. And I want everybody to know that you don't have to say no. It's not like you're going to go on this journey where you got to just become a person who always says no, right? But Sheila and I even talked about, okay, how could you proactively or intentionally decide ahead of time how much money you want to give this month? And then if someone comes and wants money, you have this money set aside to do that. So I just want you to know, like, whatever your situation is, we could come up with ways for you to be intentional, for you to still reach your goals, to still do the things you love, if that's giving, but
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's going to serve you, but also even serve the relationships that you have. So I just wanted to mention that. I had a note to mention that because I
Yeah,
want
and I think
everybody
that
to
was
know.
powerful. I think that was powerful because I think you're speaking to changing who a person is. And
Mm-hmm.
I was upfront in the beginning, like I like to give, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I am a giver at heart, and I don't want to change that about me, but I want to give from my overflow, right? When it starts to become a matter where I'm giving from lack, right? That's an issue. And I think that we probably all understand that giving from lack um type of, and I wanted to give responsibly and integritiously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
think creating that budget for, okay, what's your budget for giving? Okay, if they call and say, hey, cash out me $20, and then get this, let me get that. It's like, yeah, I'm still having conversations with them to help them more manage it. But I'm okay with the yes, because I know I've already set this aside for
Mm-hmm.
my giving, for to feed that giving spirit in me. If it's a bum on a corner or whatever, like I've already set this money to the side, so I know how much I need to give. So
Yes.
yeah, I think that was powerful. And even for my own self, like what's my own personal budget of shenanigans, my
Yes,
shenanigans,
like
right?
Sheila gets to do whatever she wants with this pot of money right here.
Yeah, yeah. And again, and here's the thing that we feel unsafe around money. And I do want to talk about, it's kind of like if you don't have those containers, what's coming up in my spirit is it's kind of, if you're a fear of heights, right? There's this natural nervousness that comes when you go over bridges, or this natural nervousness
Hmm.
that comes when you're high, right? When you're standing on top of a building or something like that, because you don't have any kind of, I don't know, structure, right? So sometimes that feeling of unsafe with money is a true unsafe, because there's no structure to the currency and the flow of how it's
Hmm.
flowing in and how it's flowing out. So when you start to then build these silos, right, it's kind of like it's grounding, right, and securing you in a way that now you feel safe with money. And then you can give yourself grace. If I go over my shenanigans money, I'm okay with that, because at least I know, right, what my shenanigans money was or is and how much I went over. And then I can just press reset and say, okay, we human, we did that. Let's press reset. But the container is there, the wall is there for my security. I know I've crossed the boundary. And I think that for me, you asked the question in the beginning, I guess we can end with this. Throughout this conversation I'm having with you, what is the thing that you helped me to gain? And it is like the boundaries, right? And
Hmm.
so knowing my boundaries with money in not even in a primitive way, an allowance, like I'm allowing myself to go this far there, I'm allowing myself to go this far there. When I do a step over, I know that now. Like I
Yeah.
know that I'm 2 steps over my boundary, I'm 3 steps extended past where I should be. And now my intelligence, this beautiful human being that we are, can now do what it needs to do to adjust and recalculate naturally, right? Because I've given it the rules and order. This the boundary. We went over. So what we're gonna do? Okay, so next month, instead of it being that amount, we may bring it down just to, and now that conversation is happening more naturally. And again, I feel safer with my money because the walls there, the boundaries. I don't want to use walls because I feel like that's very restrictive, but
Hmm.
the space of allowance is there to allow me
Yes.
to know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And I think that in my conversations with you, that became very clear.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that is like we're all going to go over our boundaries sometimes. We're going to make
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah,
And the powerful thing I want you all to know is that beating yourself up about those mistakes never work. And a lot of times they're detrimental to your progress. But
mhm,
instead, like Sheila just said, getting curious, like, okay, so what happened there? And being compassionate with yourself and then resetting next month. Like, okay, let's try again. Do I need to increase? Do I need to decrease? What do I need to do? Do I need to put some sort of protocols in place for myself? Do I need to pause? Like, do I need to sleep on it before I make impulsive decisions? Like, you get to then come. And then the beautiful thing about Sheila is that she has a space to come and talk about this is what happened. How can we move forward? And if you join the Wealthy Women's Academy, which it is opening soon with a nice little bonus. So if you're interested in joining, I'm going to tell you more about it. You probably heard about it earlier in the show, but it's a great time because it's like you have someone every week that you can come and just talk about that kind of stuff with. You don't have to come every week, but when you do come, you have that safe space and you have someone who can strategize with you, who can help you to come up with your next move and to see what is stopping you. So I love all of that. Now, Sheila, you touched on your profession at the very beginning, but I want you to just really tell people more about you, how they can connect with you. I know you have a book, you have some other things, so just go ahead and share all the things now.
Okay, I do want to say, and then you can have somebody to celebrate with too, because when I got that $12,000, I don't know if I want to ring that to the people who asked me for the $20, right? Because they're
Yes.
like, "Oh, you got money, you got $12,000. Give me a, it's like this is not bingo, and you do not get a cut. I'm sorry." Um, and I think that's important too. I think we talk
Hmm.
about the critical side of it. Yeah, we do need a place to talk about and strategize, but I do think you need a space to celebrate too, and
Yes,
to yourself
absolutely.
celebrate these wins. in a different environment that's different from your own, because the environment I have created this woman, right? That I am in my financial journey. And like I said, if I go back and tell them, yeah, I got 12,000, they like, yeah, okay, where we going? She was nowhere.
That
But
is
I
so
still need to
funny.
talk about it, right? So
Yes.
yeah, then when they hear this podcast, they're gonna be like, oh, so you been hiding it from us, huh?
So
So
funny.
what about me? Yeah, you can follow me on any social media handle at I am Shaping Solutions. That's I am Shaping Solutions. The name of my business is Shaping Solutions. And ultimately that's what I help people do, right? Shape the solutions in their life. And I say shape because each person's path is different, and we need to shape it to fit your unique desires, goals, and things like that. And again, from working with people for over 20 years, I realized that we're always adding on, adding on, adding on. So I did start that, I developed that Stop It Now framework. And I have the book, Stop It Now. That I authored, that really walks through that framework, teaching people how to stop doing things. And the biggest things is stopping the stories, which again is why I came to you to help me to what some of my stories around saving and investing in my future, or stop investing your money back into your business, right? But we're big, especially as melanated women who are professionals. We're big for going to that next advancement, getting that next degree, getting a bigger house, just doing more, doing more, doing more. And the framework was really set up to teach you how to stop, neutralize, and then reset, right? It's we tend to add stuff on, but we don't really like, let's just stop saying that and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go to my website, www.sheilalittle.com / Stop It Now, to get that book. But you can just go to my website. On the website, Sheila Little, that's SHIELA. You will find a workshop that I have coming up, the Stop It Now workshop, that's really around self-doubt and self-sabotage and feelings of not enough. You can buy the book from there. You can sign up for my affirmation challenge. And I think that's the free gift that I want to offer your audience, SheilaLittle.com / affirmation challenge. And again, that's just 30-day free affirmation. Language is one of the things that is so important as we start to heal and expand our life, because after you heal, there is an expansion process, and we need the language to do that, right? So how do I
Mm-hmm.
go from, I think you got me with this one. I said, I don't know what I want to do with the building. And you switched that to, I'm figuring it out, right?
Yes.
So a part of changing who we are is also changing how we speak. And so the affirmation challenge was really there to help individuals to expand their language, start to see themselves different, start to really reframe and reshape how they see themselves. And so that is a 30-day challenge that comes in your email.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you can join my Facebook group, Sheila Little at Elevating Life. And I do a weekly challenge in there every week. This week we're doing the Stop It framework. Next week we're doing another challenge. So as a team, we just get together and do different challenges and offer that group different things to help them elevate in their life. And life is an acronym: their love of self, their interactions with others, their focus, and their energy.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so everything Sheila just said is going to be linked right below this episode. So you can just go to the show notes and click on all the links. Make sure you get the book and your affirmation challenge. I know you all will get so much from all of that. So, and then there's a workshop, there's all sorts of things. So awesome. Well,
I want to
Sheila,
thank you before
oh,
you
go ahead.
give your closing. I just want to thank you. I do know that being a melanated woman, having a conversation about money is something that just was not promoted in my community. So I applaud you, one, for having the courage to talk about money, right? Talk about
Mhm.
um, this resource, and really starting to change the narrative in how we experience money. and what can be done with our money and what you can do with your money. And believe it or not, sometimes people do need permission, and not permission from like this authority place,
Mm-hmm.
but a space where they're having the conversation. And as that conversation is happening, the permission is happening within them. And so I just thank you for taking on this courageous flight, because money is a very emotional conversation to have. It
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of shame around it. It has a lot of guilt around it. It has a lot of, um, yeah, just lower energy emotions. And so you're bringing in these higher frequencies and really looking at money from a different angle, and expanding that knowledge, that emotion, your emotion, and holding a space for us. I think I just thank you for that.
Oh, you are so welcome. It is my life's work. It's a passion of mine because I suffered, and once I figured out I didn't have to suffer, I was like, I got to tell everybody. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your kind words, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Wait, before you go, have you checked out my free class? It's all about the steps you need to take if you want to build wealth without going on a strict budget. To sign up, simply go to jermainfoley.com/wealth class. That's Jermaine with a G, foley.com/wealth class. See you in there.